Kanye West tweet about going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people removed by Twitter. He didn't learn the Michael Jackson lesson. Now, I don't know about you all. I don't follow this guy. I'm not like Nikki, who idolizes and fantasizes about this guy all night long and buys his clothing and everything in a absolutely disgusting and pathetic attempt to gain his favor and to be able to be seen with him somewhere. I mean, how wretched could that be? What a great leader for Western kind and the United States. I don't know. I said I don't follow him close enough. And I didn't follow Michael Jackson closely either. But I am inclined to think that Michael Jackson had more talent. And although I don't know if he had more money, he probably had more money. Although this guy has $2 billion of net worth. And that woman that he was married to with the enormous, like moon-sized ass, and I'm only talking about one of her cheeks, she also had $2 billion. So you think about this black couple with $4 billion. And I'm feeling like I really just need to suffer more as a white man so that non-whites can get ahead in this world, for God's sakes. I really think that I need to be discriminated against more and persecuted more so that non-whites can get ahead in this world. They just got it so bad. $4 billion between the two of them. Now, Michael Jackson, as you all might remember, was lauded and loved, and the regime, as long as he was anti-white, told the world how wonderful he was. And every now and again, there would be a little rumor that would surface, a little bit of news that would escape somehow here, somehow there, a little rumor here, that maybe some funny things were going on with children over with Michael Jackson. But then immediately the system would come in and they would say, no, that's not happening. Michael Jackson would never do anything like that. Absolutely not. So even though he had haters, even though he had enemies, even though he had built up, I guess, quite a string of people that were victimized by him and wanted revenge, nobody came forward, or at least nobody was ever heard until Michael Jackson decided to talk about some of these anti-whites who are very big in roles of agents, very big in roles of business, and they are present. They are omnipresent, you might say. And he decided to talk about them, and he decided to say that they were taking money away from black artists, that they were getting in the way of what the black artists wanted to do. And Michael Jackson was as powerful as you could be in rock and music and wealth, etc., castles galore and everything else. And then all of a sudden, he was a child molester. And then all of a sudden, the news broke. And then all of a sudden, everybody knew that he was diddling kids everywhere. This is what was said. I wasn't there. Thank the good Lord. I wouldn't want to witness that. I would have killed him. But nonetheless, this is what suddenly became Michael Jackson. And then all of those haters, all of those enemies, all of those people that had been run over roughshod by Jackson and the Jackson family, they came forward. And the family members were allowed to come forward. And their stories were allowed to surface. And their angst and their anger and their resentment all came forward. And he was slimed and sullied. And then he spent the few years that he had left alive. And interesting that he suddenly was addicted to, what is this, sodium propofol, and they were pumping it into his veins day in and day out, and he was dead. He was dead all of a sudden. Isn't that interesting? The anti-whites, they just came through, and Jackson was dead. I'm guessing that Kanye West has not learned the same lesson, that when you play with the devil, the anti-white superstructure, when you play with that power, when they allow you to be wealthy, when you are part of the anti-white cult, once you get into the anti-white cult, it's like any other cult out there. You cannot leave. The anti-whites burn each other at the stake for not being anti-white enough. And so Kanye West is deciding that he's going to give a middle finger to this system because why? Because in this interview that he did, which, by the way, he's now fervently talking about the revolution, this color revolution in Iran. I believe it's a color revolution. Maybe I'm wrong. Where the women are standing up and putting down the civilization. Isn't that something? You know, if the civilization in Iran, what they weren't dealing with something more behind the scenes. Well, they would just machine gun a few of them, and then no more would come out into the streets. But for some reason, it's magic, folks. It's kind of like a color revolution again, all over again. Things are happening behind the scenes. Kanye West is for that. He wants the regime in Iran overthrown. He decided, because as he shared with Tucker Carlson, things like Nike, things like Gap are in place in order to hold the Black community down. He believes that Nike and Gap and these companies are not trying to get bigger, that they're not trying to own more, that they're not trying to be even more prosperous, because they are in place specifically to hold the Black race down. His focus, and more power to him, his focus is to protect the Black race, to empower the Black race, to ennoble the Black race. His entire focus is on that. More power to him. Why in the world is there anybody in the white sympathetic sphere celebrating him using a slogan which has nothing to do with concern for the white race, but in fact harms us by bringing up the conversation of Black lives and whether or not there is a systemic effort in Western civilization to harm Black people, to murder Black people, to kill them in the womb, to do all of these sorts of things. He talked several times about Blacks being killed in the womb and being targeted by the regime, which of course they're not. Of course they're not. Let me finish this. I'll finish this. About them being targeted. He said nothing about the white race. Nothing. He doesn't give a shit about you. So if you are one of those white people out there in the white sympathetic sphere that think it's a good thing, it's ultimately a good thing that this guy brought up a topic that is going to instigate a conversation about the persecution of Blacks, then you need to stop thinking and let me do it for you. You need to stop thinking and go free, and then you can think again on your own, because you're obviously getting it wrong. You're getting it wrong in a big way. You should be affronted by him wearing a shirt that says White Lives Matter. You should be affronted by Candace Owens wearing a shirt that says White Lives Matter when they don't give a shit. They say these things because they think that's going to get under the skin of this system, the anti-white system that I'm a part of, and I can see white people being victimized, but I'm not going to actually say or do anything to make a difference for white people. If Candace Owens or Mommy Malkin or any of these folks wanted to actually do something for white people, they would be researching what white people are saying. They would be going to content creators that are unashamedly, like myself, standing up for the white race, and they would be platforming them. They would be talking to them. They would be interviewing them. They would say, for God's sake, look at what is happening to Western kind. Look at what's happening. And here's somebody from the streets. Here's somebody that's real. Here's somebody that's a man who's standing up, John Wayne style, Audie Murphy style, Sergeant York style, Desmond Doss style, for Western kind and Western civilization. Just like the system would go out and collect rappers from the streets because it was more real. It was more gritty. It wasn't some Fruit Loop in his parents' basement wearing a jacket to imitate some black rapper, being nothing but a absolute joke cheerleader cheering on the mascots. No, it would be going to those who are raw and real and gritty and in the weeds and who are standing up unashamedly in an age where to do so is to have the full weight of that whole system come down on you. So what's going to happen to Kanye West? He's not coming to somebody like me. He's not researching. Billionaire, he could have teams and teams find me the real deal. The raw, real deal from the streets, standing up for Western kind. Who's been out there with a bloodied nose? Who's been out there with their oratory and fighting against anti-whiteism for their people all this time? Because I want to highlight them the same way the system's highlighted Compton. We all got to know what Compton's all about. Every white woman in the U.S. knows about Compton because that's where it's real. That's where it happens. Go off, every one of you. No, he's not using his billions for that. Candace Owens not using her money for that. Mommy Mulkin not using her money for that. Do they care about white people? Or is Jason Kuna right? Are they just saying these things because it serves their interests in digging up at the anti-white establishment, of which they're a part, just deviating a little bit, running parallel to get some attention for themselves? You know the answer. What's going to happen now with this Kanye West? Well, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get onto our story of the day, and that is this. In a very cold and analytical way, anti-whites are going to examine his business holdings. They're going to examine his net worth. They're going to examine where his income streams are coming from. They are then going to move all at once, simultaneously, against these income streams, against his holdings. There will be lawsuits. It will happen everywhere for him. He will be slandered in the regime's media, and his voice will be shut down, and he will have no way to speak. I think, if not already, concerts will be canceled that he has on the books, things that were supposed to happen for him. Record deals that were supposed to happen will disappear. Anti-whites will coldly analyze those who are doing business with him. Music business, fashion business. And isn't that the thing that anybody can get into? I mean, it doesn't matter what you do for a living. If you get successful, you can hire a bunch of people who are fashionistas to design clothing for you. And then you can give an idea or two or whatever. And then that's it. Now you're a big designer and you can make millions and millions of dollars. They will analyze these people. And then they will let them know, if you do business with him, we will ruin you too. And then they will go. You know, it's kind of like this individual that everybody thinks is a leader for the white race, because they're idiots, everybody that thinks that. And he's talking about this guy, Andrew Tate, who has he has FU money. He says he has FU money. So why would he not want to deal with someone? Why would he not want to deal with this individual? Why would he censor this individual? Why would he ignore this individual when he's got his own system? He's got his own platform. He's doing his own shows. He doesn't need the rest of these different social media platforms. Why? He has all of this wealth. He's got FU money. Why? It just doesn't make any sense. It does, but you're too dumb to figure it out. I'm not. But the people are too dumb to realize that you're not a good leader, that you're just a messed up twit. Andrew Tate might have enough FU money, but the people who work for him don't. The people who have to do the editing, the people who have to supply the cameras, the people who have, etc., all of those connections, they all don't have FU money. They all don't have a way to just walk away from this. It's support structures they burn down, dumb. That's what's going to happen to Kanye West now. And in the future, will any of you be surprised if he turns around and decides to say, well, I didn't mean all of this group of people. I only meant that there's a few out there who are problematic. Don't get on this bandwagon and end up looking like a fool in the end.